There's a reason why they originally adapted the book that Wicked is based on into a stage musical instead of a movie, because it's a really hard story to adapt. So I want to say at the top of this review, it is a miracle that this movie even exists after like 10 years of changes and delays in production. And I know the question on everyone's minds, did Ariana Grande outdo her original rendition of Popular? I'm a big fan of Wicked. Seeing the musical live is like one of the best things I've ever done. I sobbed. It's an incredibly powerful story about two women and their unlikely friendship, while also being a satire about racism and fascism. It will always have this enduring legacy and mean a lot to people, including myself. However, I am a critic above all else, so if you loved it or are excited for it and just want to gush about it, this is not really the review that's going to happen. There are absolutely some things I liked here, but I think there are some very glaring issues as well. We're gonna get into it, and when it comes to the audience, I think people are going to be over the moon about it. I mean, they already are. We're seeing Best Picture discussions, acting nominations. I think it will easily make $1 billion. Don't doubt theater kids. This is like their end game. My question for the average theater goer, though, is do people know that this is a part one? Like, it's not included in the title when you go to buy a ticket. I don't even think it shows up in the title card until after the movie is already over. But beyond the lack of advertising it, we've had this conversation with Dune before. I don't think it's a bad idea to split a long story into two parts, and I think they chose the right spot to end the first film at. But it is a long movie, man. At 2 hours and 40 minutes long, it is as long as the entire stage production. And this absolutely allows for more time spent with the characters and sets. If you had asked me like an hour or maybe an hour and a half into the movie, I would have said that I could have watched it the whole night. But it lost me somewhere along the way, both emotionally and with general engagement. I was very ready for it to be over. I do wonder how it would have worked out if they had done like 1 3-hour epic or something like that. It would probably require cutting out some scenes and songs with side characters, but when you're changing mediums, sometimes that's just kind of necessary. What I'm also curious to see is how much people's familiarity with the source material will matter, because I came out of it thinking that the first half was much better, but I saw someone I know react online who wasn't familiar with the story or with the songs, who said the third act was their favorite part and that it was boring until then. I will say, if you don't know what happens with Elphaba as the Wicked Witch of the West and the wizard and how this all unfolds, it must be pretty fun to discover it as the movie goes on. But I think it loses focus going into the third act, and there's like an action sequence, and I just felt less immersed as it went on, but we'll talk more about that. What I'm most excited to say about this movie is that as the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba Throp, Cynthia Erivo is so breathtaking here, like the best part of the film, and it's not close. She is such a perfect Elphaba. I mean, she's a Broadway-trained actress, just the power and clarity of her voice, her mix, she makes all the right decisions with the songs, every look, every costume. She so fully embodies the character and brings just great emotion to it. The line from the trailer where she goes, "You have no real power," one of my favorite moments in the movie. You know the Stan Wars have been bad because I'm afraid to say what I thought about Ariana Grande, even though I thought she was good. I'm a little bit conflicted about her Galinda, and I think Ariana Grande is one of the greatest vocalists of her generation, just like an immensely talented person. This was such a huge dream of hers, but to me, I didn't feel a complete identity of the character come through, especially comedically. Galinda is kind of like insane and zany and just a lot. And I'm not saying with any of this that it has to be exactly like the stage musical, but she definitely like leans into that sometimes and then not so much in other times. So I just had a hard time settling into the personality of the character. I'm also partly saying this in response to people's hope for a Best Supporting Actress nomination for her at the Oscars. Again, like I thought she was good, but I don't really see that happening. But Cynthia and Ariana are great together, which is maybe the most important part of this. Their voices blend so well and they just have great chemistry. You really believe them as these unexpected friends and this sort of tragic love that they have for each other. Probably one of the best moments in the film is between them when they go to the Shiz dance together. Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Yeoh are there. I don't have much to say about them. I don't think either of them are singers. I could be wrong. But round of applause for Jonathan Bailey, who is so diva-rific in this. He's not in it a whole lot, which is kind of a bummer, but he just brings this really fun energy to it. So I'm excited to see more of him in part 2. Peter Dinklage as Dr. Dillamond is also really great. And from a singing standpoint, Marissa Bode as Nessa and Ethan Slater as Bach are both really great, even if they're part of this collection of side plots and characters that get a bit thrown by the wayside in the long run time. And what's perhaps been most discussed leading up to it, we need to talk about how the movie looks, because it's not good. I tweeted that it feels like blue balls for your eyes because I truly could not think of a better way to describe it, because the sets are so beautiful and so detailed and extravagant. The costuming, the colors, everything. There's a lot of great practical work done here, all for it to be washed out because almost every single scene is backlit or overexposed. There's no light on the actors' faces. Night scenes are too dark. Man, like even during Defying Gravity, I was like, I would love to see Cynthia's face as she's singing this. This is like completely insane. I really thought I was gonna cry during Defying Gravity, but I didn't in the movie at all. I think I got closer during The Wizard and I. And it just speaks to film as a visual medium, and that aspect is just as important to creating emotion and telling the story. With Wicked, you really want it to just be visually dazzling and immersive. And when you not only have The Wizard of Oz and the stage production as places to look, this just feels really disappointing. And if it is Jon M. Chu's style or the style of the cinematographer Alice Brooks, I think it's ugly. Like, it's just really frustrating to look at. I mean, the lack of contrast. Where's that tweet about how we need people to become gaffers? And so I think it can in some way be tied back to how I was struggling to connect to the film emotionally in certain ways, because it doesn't make it feel soulless. This movie doesn't feel soulless because it's so clear that everyone had so much passion about this, but it makes it feel commercial. There is some fan service, like Easter egg type of stuff that I think we were expecting, and it's whatever. It can be a little bit eye-rolling. And we'll get more clarity in part 2, but to me it feels like it's a faithful adaptation in the way that it's trying to fit everything in without a clear artistic vision to actually translate it into the medium of film. And so it ends up kind of crumbling under its own weight as this behemoth 2-part story. So that's my rant. Beyond the look of it, there are some really strong musical sequences in here. We know that Jon M. Chu has done In the Heights, so I would say like expect a similar type of quality of production. He's no Steven Spielberg. We're not reaching something like that. There's some choppy editing in certain sequences, and I personally like it when there are like longer sweeping takes, when there's like fun choreography going on and stuff like that. But I really liked The Wizard and I thought Loathing was fun. Popular was never going to live up to my expectations. They knew like what they needed to nail, and a lot of these issues that I have aren't going to impact the average viewer. Again, this is like such a huge event and huge moment, and the people in my screening were so jazzed. Like there were claps when characters showed up and fuck yeahs and cheers after certain music sequences. But all of that said, again, don't mind me. People are going to be obsessed with this, but at the end of the day, I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. So I'm going to give Wicked 3 out of 5 stars. The prophecy is complete. But let me know if you plan on heading out to theaters to see Wicked this weekend. Are you a fan of the musical? Have you seen it before? Have you read the book? Let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe and keep an eye out for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.